Okay, welcome. Hey, I'm Andrew Shin. Every now and again, I remember that I'm a photographer, and I actually go out and make some pictures. So I've done that. These are some personal pictures just for me. I had a lot of fun with them, so I thought I would I'd just take you through the process of downloading and editing them. And here we are. So I'll actually download these pictures from a card first. Where you store your pictures matters. I'm not going to go through a really in-depth tutorial on exactly how to do that, but what I will do is go to File, Import Photos and Videos. And we'll check and make sure this is in fact the correct card. Nope, that's my cell phone. We'll download photos from the Nikon D3. Looks good. We're going to rename these using my own personal naming scheme. I'll call them personal, and these ones were all taken in Readly. And let's go here, choose 2013, and these into a folder by date. Yep, that's just fine. I'll hit the import button. Now my photos are being converted to DNG upon import. That's Adobe's digital negative specification. They're all RAW photos. RAW photos convert to DNG rather nicely. You'll notice nothing's showing right now because the filter bar here is set to only display images that are tagged with 3 stars and above. And these 3-star images don't exist yet because they're still being imported. So if I click this little arrow up here, you can see the progress bar at the top left converted to digital negative. That's a DNG and import. So I'll click on none here in the filter bar. And this should show everything that's importing as it's importing. Here we go. So right off the bat, you notice some of these are pretty bad, and I really don't have to look at these to know that they're bad. So I'm just going to click the X button to reject these first two, and you see there's a little black flag that appears next to the photo to show that it's rejected. Third one may be worth looking at. I'm using keyboard shortcuts right now to go through and rotate these. So I'm going to shift and then right arrow over a couple of them that are all turned with the same orientation. So I'm shooting vertical for all of these pictures so far. And I'm going to use Command left bracket to rotate them all left, which should stand them up straight. We'll take a closer look in just a minute, and you'll be able to see what these images actually are. So I'm going to continue allowing them to import. I'll continue rotating. While I'm waiting for these to import, I'm going to just start looking at them and see if there's anything worth keeping here. That's sort of interesting. There's a story going on here with the 4 firefighters talking to each other. This guy is saying, "The pipe was this big," or "The fire was this big," or whatever. With the Selma Fire Department truck behind him. I'm going to hit R. That'll take me right over into the crop mode in the develop module of Lightroom. And after the progress bar finishes spinning here, so I'm in the crop mode now, and I'm going to hold down the command key, that'd be the control key on a PC, just drag along the bottom of this fire engine because I want to straighten this and set this as the horizon line. Okay, looks good. Pump the clarity here, which is mid-tone contrast. You see the shadows get much more defined. I may drop the saturation just a little because that red light's interesting, but not that interesting. Let's see what a bit of contrast does. A little less contrast. We'll bump the shadows here to fill those in. And ultimately, I still don't think this is worth keeping. So we'll go back to the entire set of photos. Keep looking at the rest of them. Okay, I have some more photos to rotate. Looks like these don't need it. These do. To be perfectly honest, it feels I feel just a little bit naked showing my my raw photos upon import. See exactly how raw they are, which is pretty raw. But we'll cope. Rotate these ones as a batch. Go back, continue looking. So again, I'm here in the library module. You can see that up here. And I'm using arrow keys to move around between the different photos. I'm gonna hold down the shift key and the right arrow again to select these two, and then hit the N key to enter survey mode, where I can look at both of them next to each other. And neither of these do anything for me either. This one I may keep. It's got a helicopter there and two guys talking, so I'm gonna hit the 3 button, and that'll assign 3 stars, a rating of 3 stars to that image. Now this is where the picture should get a little more interesting. I'm going to hit the E key. That takes me into loop mode, still within the library module. And you can take a close look at this ladder that I'm planning to climb. See the depth of field falling off here at the end of the ladder. It's getting a bit blurry. And you can see from the metadata that I'm shooting at f2.8. That's probably as wide as this lens goes. I'm going to keep this photo. Looks interesting. So back to the grid view, and I did that using the G key. Now I'm going to shift and right click a few times, and again enter the survey mode with N. I'll hit the tab key to hide both of the panels on the right and left sides. You get a larger view of these photos. I still don't know if these are anything worth keeping. I mean, this is literally what the street looked like from above. And I sort of like the ladder in the foreground here. I'll hit the 3 key. We'll keep this for consideration. But most of these, this is kind of cool. You can see my family down here watching. Well, this loads a larger preview. The music we're hearing in the background here, the wolves, if you're hearing that, is from the National Parks DVD. Some good editing music here. I'll show you that. We'll move on though. I'm not feeling wolves right now. So this is music from Everglades National Park by Dan Gibson. Now my family's fully rendered. They're still pretty noisy down here, and you can see the ISO 6400. But overall, it may be worth keeping. I'll hit the 3 key and see about keeping that. Kind of like this one a little better though. Alright, highlighting a bunch of these images together. And hit the N key to view them. So an interesting feature here, I see my own legs. And I'm not exactly looking for that as part of the story, so I'll take that out. A super wide angle lens. But I do like this firefighter climbing up here. I am going to look at these just a little more closely individually by using the E key. So E will pop me into loop mode. And what I'm looking for mainly is to see how sharp his face is. And what's going on with his face. Again, I'm still shooting at ISO 6400, so I expect quite a bit of noise. But man, this Nikon D3 still makes noise that looks pretty darn acceptable. So there's our hero. What am I shooting at 1/80th of a second? So these all should be fairly sharp. I'm not sure if I like him turned around or looking forward. I think I like him looking forward, but not where I can't see his whole face. This is 1/60th of a second, so slightly slower, and it looks like his face might not be sharp. It's not as sharp, yeah. Alright, so these are the pictures that I've got selected, and I'm just using the arrow key to scroll through them. So I'll go back to the grid view using G, and survey mode again using N, and I'll drop this one where he's sort of looking down. I like one of these two best. I'm not crazy about having him turned around there. So I'm just using a little X at the bottom of the screen to drop those. I think what I'm going with is either the left or the right picture. So I'll use the loop key again. Click to zoom into 100% view. While this preview loads, yeah, that looks pretty good. I'll keep that. So I'm going to use the 3 key to tag that as a 3. Back to my photos here. Let's look at the overall. See, I like this. Ladder coming up on the left side. It's pretty cool. There's just a little bit more background in this one, it looks like. So is he looking at me? Is he not? Yeah, he is. Okay, so we'll use the picture on the left here. So I'm going to hit 3 to keep that. And I'll use the X key on both of these. Or I'm sorry, not the X key, the little X button here to drop these from our selection so I can look at these last two next to each other. This is a bit of a selfie. Not sure how I feel about this, but you can see that I'm holding a second camera here on the left side. I usually use a black rapid camera strap. In this case, I have a double camera strap, one camera for each side, and I left it at the office, so I'm using two black rapid camera straps kind of crossed across my chest. You can see one of them hanging down here. I'm going to hit the 3 key and keep this button. Or keep this picture. You notice this shot through the ladder? Or no? Does it tell the story or does it not? Keep the one on the right slightly darker, slightly lower exposure. And take a look at just a few more pictures. Ironically, this one on the far right might be my favorite of the firefighter because he's actually in motion. It looks like he's climbing here. And plenty of noise. It's all right though. So let's look at these. I'm gonna look at 6 at a time or so. Pictures from high up. These first two, nothing all that special though. I'm gonna look at this one larger. It's kind of cool. Use the 3 key to keep that rated as a 3. And this one right here, not special. It's not gonna stay. See these last two. The picture on the left, because of the particulate matter in the air here that's backlit by this light off the back of the truck. And I like to keep back in the American flag. So back to G, hit G to go back to the grid view. Now these are all pictures of a helicopter taking off. I don't know that I actually succeeded in making any of them, so I'm just going to hit the X button as I preview each one to set it as rejected. So the first time the helicopter fired, helicopter's engines fired up, a bunch of smoke came out of the engine, and I'm not sure what's up with that. That's I don't know if that's the equivalent, the helicopter equivalent of a backfire or what. But you can see all these people watching. Interesting moment. If this were just a little bit better exposure, this might be worth keeping. It's not though. I'm going to hit the X key to set this as rejected. Notice the ISO here. 25,600. Incredible amounts of digital noise here. It's just unacceptable. It's I couldn't do anything with this. Again, using the X key to set these as rejected. Back down to ISO 6400 here. These were the only images, images with the helicopter's lights on that I had any hope for, and it looks like I'm losing that hope quickly. This one might be. I don't know. We'll take this into the develop module and see what I can pull out. I do like the helicopter off the ground. Compositionally, it's not that special. The helicopter's kind of in the middle. There's a bunch of dead space here. I like the people back here watching. This was about as close as I could safely get, and even at this, there's a bunch of dirt, dust, and debris flying at my face. I actually literally kept my face behind the camera for the whole takeoff, so that I wouldn't get any rocks in my eyes. So I'll mark this as a 3 and keep it for further consideration. And this one better? No. These are about the same. I like this first one because you can actually see the the light coming off the bottom of the helicopter here. Interesting event, not such great pictures. This one looks like didn't rotate, and this one didn't either. It's looking for these parallel lines here, but with the big ladder going up into the middle, off into the darkness. But the pictures really came out pretty terrible. To be honest, I was walking while I was shooting these. I wasn't really framing them carefully or anything. So those are that set of picture. I'm going to eject this card. It's already ejected. Drop another one and look at the rest of the pictures from the shoot. Okay, file import here in Lightroom 5. Import photos and video. Again, we'll choose the source, and that's the flash card I just put in, shot with a Nikon D700. We're copying these as DNGs, Dolby Digital Negatives, and importing them. I don't think there's anything in here that's not appropriate for public consumption, so I'll just import the whole lot of them. Yep. And I'm going to use the same keywords here, personal, and let these drop into their folders, into their respective folders here. Hit the import button. You'll notice that by default what happens is Lightroom shows you a view right here. If you open up the left panel under catalog, it says current import, and the view that it's showing you, even though it's dropping these images into different folders by date, they'll all show up in one view here because it's showing the entire import, even though the images themselves are ending up in separate folders. And it looks like this camera, for some reason, does automatically rotate the photos, so I'm not going to need to do that. So as they're importing, I can just start sorting and rating them. So I'm going to hit the E key to open this one up full screen. Now, yes, this is a toilet, and what I was looking for is kind of the symmetry of these squares behind it. I'm going to hit R to go to the cropping mode in the develop module. Again, hold down the command key, drag across this line to make sure it's absolutely straight. It's like a very slight correction there. Yeah, I like the symmetry of that. And I'm going to hit 3 to tag that one. Why am I tagging a picture of a toilet? Well, just because I like it. There's no good reason for that. So I'll highlight these two pictures. Sort of have an ongoing fascination with the Readly water towers, and I actually like both of these images for different reasons. I like that in the image on the left, the water towers look like one's free and one's in jail, and I like this one framed in by the trees in the foreground. There are a million different ways to see these water towers. Both with my camera and even more so with my eyes, I try to see every single one of them. So I'm going back to the library module here. I'm going to hit the tab key to open both of the panels on the sides, and with these two images selected, you can see they're selected because they're highlighted. Go to the keywording tab and type water towers and Readly. That'll automatically put them into some ongoing selections that I have for water tower images. And it looks like neither of them kept its rating, so I'm going to highlight the first one, shift right arrow to highlight both of them, hit the 3 key. And I'm curious about the ISO, so I'm going to hit E to open the first one in loop view, and notice that it's at ISO 800, perfectly acceptable. on a Nikon D700. Very usable. So here we are back up on top of the the ladder. I took just a few images of the fighter that I was lucky enough to go up there with, and so I'll highlight all of them and hit the N key to open these in survey mode, and now I'm going to hit the tab key again to make the panels on both sides go away. I don't know if any of these will be sharp. I was shooting them at really high ISO, really small depth of field, and I was focusing from the top of a ladder. I was actually clipped in at the time. If you can see the firefighter's belt here, he's wearing a clip down here, a big clip, and I was actually clipped into the ladder, sort of rotating around to try to make these pictures. So I'm going to take the first one out of the selection. I can safely discard that. And what I'm looking for is his eyes. They're partly closed on this one, so I'll hit the X key to take this out of the selection. When I hit that X key, it's not throwing the pictures away per se. It's only deselecting them from this view. So the first picture is okay. The second one, I think his eyes look sharpest on this one. Of course, the eyes are always what you're looking for in terms of sharpness. So I'm going to hit the E button to open this up in loupe view, and I can confirm that, yep, his eyes are sharp there. So I'm going to hit the 3 button to assign 3 stars to that. You see the little notification, set rating to 3. You can also see the 3 stars right down here. Let's see if either of these images was worth keeping. I don't think so. Maybe the one on the right, I'll hit 3 to see about keeping that. But I just don't know if the story's strong enough on that. Maybe in black and white, I don't know. Alright, so let's go over to the rest of these photos. Now we have some helicopter photos. These may be just a little bit better. I was shooting with a 50mm f1.8 lens, so I'm hoping these look a little better. I've highlighted them all, and I'm going to hit the N key to open them in survey mode. You can see just right off the bat they're a bit brighter and a little cleaner. And this last one is missing the Christmas tree style lights, and I think I want this lights, so I'm going to look at this closer and reject that one. I'll just take it out of its selection. Something's not rendering properly here, so I'll go back to the survey mode. Yep. Give that a second to render. Select the rest of these pictures, hit N to go back to survey mode. I'm really just looking for one clean image because these are all pretty much the same. So the first 3 are missing that green light. I'll hit the X key, the X button at the bottom right of each of these photos to remove them from the selection. So there we go. So I've got 3 candidates left. Looks like, see which one has the best blade motion. Looks like this one might have the best blade motion. Let's open this up using the E key. That opens it in loupe view. Loupe ends with E, which is why I think they have assigned that shortcut. Now the ISO is really high on this. This is at ISO 5000 f1.4, 1/50th of a second. Keeping score at home. So the ISO is pretty high, pretty grainy, but there's still some good motion in the blades here. I'm going to keep any of these photos. This will be the one. So I'll click to zoom out and show the entire image in the view. I'm going to hit the 3 key to assign a star rating of 3. We're done with the helicopter pictures. At least done sorting them. Hey, flowers, look at that. I think I like the first of these best. Just going to open it in loupe view to make sure it has the sharpness around the edges that I want. Yep, that'll work for me. A couple of pictures made around school. Pretty sure most of these aren't that interesting. This one I was looking for an interesting foreground and background. It kind of failed. Same with this one. I was looking for somebody moving in the foreground, just not enough motion to make that work for me. These are all right, but there's so much going on here, so much detail that no matter what the story is, they're just too hard to read. So they're gone. This last one, I like the light on this guy's face. This one, it's kind of interesting. A little bit of a fun, cotton moment there. I don't know if any of these are worth keeping. This one maybe. I like the way this guy's head is framed in by the structure behind him. That's cool. I'll hit the 3 key and keep that one. Stop by Reedley CrossFit this weekend. Brand new business in Reedley. Opened by some friends of mine, so I made a few images there. This one I did not get to work. I probably could have worked that harder, gotten the guy to spin on the rings some more. It just didn't work out like I hoped. And these two are all right, but this one really, I think this picture at the bottom is the strongest one. That could be in black and white, and you wouldn't know it. It really wouldn't look any different. I'm gonna hit the 3 key. I'm happy with that. I look forward to developing that a little bit more. And G, back to the grid view here. These are my students from Reedley College. Hey guys, if you're watching this. And my coworker Amber back there, co-instructor. Two slightly different exposures of the same image. I'm going to take the brighter one, just because Amber's kind of waving back there with a teriyaki stick. I'll mess with the exposure a little bit in Lightroom. So here are some pictures of the booths. Like that picture of the guy counting money. That's cool. This picture, doesn't have enough to recommend it. Nor this one. A bit overexposed, and again, there's too much going on here. There's doesn't read fast enough. This one, however, really like the frame within the frame, so I'm going to hit the 3, keep that one. I'll open it up in loop view and just confirm that it's indeed sharp. Yeah, go back to the survey mode, look at those images together, and I'm going to keep this beef jerky picture, or not beef jerky, I'm sorry, teriyaki stick picture. That's what my students sold all weekend at the Reedley Fiesta. Did a great job. This is a picture that I've been excited to see. So, bit of a self-portrait, using a 50mm lens again. I'm shooting at f2 here. This is a view of the water towers that I've never seen before, and I really like the kind of the bulbed mirror here and the water towers in the background. It's cool. I'm gonna hit the 3 key. Happy with that picture. I'll come back and process it some more later on. I saw the light coming through these through the top of this pot, and I just could not walk away from it. Had to take some pictures of it, so I don't like this one as much. These three are cool, but I really like the larger amount of steam here, so I'm eliminating the 2 in the middle. And this one looks just a little bit unsharp. I mean, unsharp's okay in terms of small depth of field, but yeah, it's just there's some motion blur going on here too. So I'm going to highlight the middle one, hit the 3 key. Highlight the first one, hit the 3 key. I just really like this kind of reddish, brownish, and all the blue tones in the shadows here. Just a different temperature of light here, and I like that orange, or that's the orangey brown and blue together. So back to the G key. I think that's all the pictures from this weekend. The rest are art projects that are made by my kids. We take pictures of the art projects and then throw away the art themselves. Keep the pictures. It's a good way to remember what we had going with the kids. That's not really what I intended to process today. So I'm going to hit the add. You know what? Actually, I will go to one of these buttons. Hold down the Control key on a Mac, to right click and then choose go to folder in library. I'm going to view only this day's photos together. There we go. I'm going to further narrow the selection by going up here to filter bar at the top of the library module, clicking attribute, and you can see that 3 stars is already selected. I'm going to process these images probably pretty quickly. So I'm going to use a D key to go to the develop module. And I totally imagined this in black and white. I've got a preset that I really like here in the develop module in Lightroom called Concrete Jungle. And it turns the image black and white, bumps the clarity a bit, which is the mid-tone contrast. You see when I click on that preset, it should assign the preset, and the red tones here in the shadows are going to go away. And I may bump the clarity a little bit more here. It looks like sharpness in the final image. I'm going to use the R key to go into the crop mode and straighten this, holding down on the command key and just drawing a line. If you draw a vertical line, Lightroom will know that it should line up all the verticals to that line. If you draw a horizontal line, Lightroom will straighten the horizon to be that, which is exactly what I want. I'm going to hit the return key or the enter key to apply that change. And there we go. That's cool. I'm not going to do anything. Well, you know what? I might play with the cropping here. I'm going to move this down until the 15 is right at the PowerPoint. I like the fact that there's a lower row here. Shows that it's just one of 2 rows. Destination for this is digital, not print, so I can do any aspect ratio I want. If I want to make a print of this, I can totally do that, and then just use a custom size. So I like the way that changes composition. Moving on to the next photo. Yeah, guy counting money. So again, as I said earlier, I'm going to lower the exposure on this just slightly. Picture's still loading right now. All right, here we are. I'm going to hover over the number here, and I get what's called a scrubby slider, which means I just click and slide to the left. And I'm doing this correction visually, so it's okay that the person back here is sort of in shadow. I don't mind that. I am going to bump the shadows just a little bit. I always like just a bit of added clarity here. And I'll try dropping the vibrance of that just a little. This wasted space up here, I can either crop out or de-emphasize. I'm going to try cropping it, so I'm going to hit R to enter crop mode, and then just bring this down just a little bit. Yep, that's a bit stronger. I'll hit the enter or return key to apply that. Moving on to the next image. Again, more clarity. It's cool. I'm going to increase the contrast a bit, try that. I'm noticing that these highlights here, I'm going to have to watch them in the guy's fingers. But yeah, I like the way that emphasizes the greenbacks here. Let the M key to go to gradient mode here, and I use this to selectively adjust exposure. I'm going to drag a gradient, and this gradient right here is going to take the exposure down by 0.3 of a stop, so about 1/3 of a stop. That's just taking the exposure down very slightly on this guy's fingers, and dragging it up just a little bit, moving it in terms of position. It's a pretty subtle change. Not a lot of people will see that, but it does improve the photo. I'm taking it down even farther, so yeah, -1.3. And I'll hit the M key to exit that mode. I don't think the color does anything for this at all, so I'm going to again choose my favorite black and white mode. Up the shadows just a bit. Little trick in terms of highlights and shadows. I'm going to take the red up and maybe the orange up a little bit too. And you notice the effect that has on his face. It's brightening it just slightly. This is skin tones are this kind of reddish orangish, or a mix of these reddish orangish colors. That's cool. I'm gonna hit M again to enter this gradient mode, and this time I'm gonna go to half a stop. So we're removing negative half a stop exposure, and just drag that gradient over here. Drag another one on the top, maybe even on the bottom. One more over here enhances the effect. Hit the M key to exit that mode. I'm going to hit the Y key to view a quick before and after, and I like the final result on that. Moving on. I have some color presets. I kind of feel like this should be in color. Here we go. This one called Warm 1974 that I tend to like a lot. These highlights are still a bit high for me. Maybe it's just that the depth of field is too small. I don't know. I'm shooting at f1.4, so I do expect a pretty small depth of field. And you can see that illustrated in the grill here. And like it looks like this area right here is in focus, and everything before and after it drops off in terms of sharpness pretty quickly. I may actually take the exposure down just a hair. Yeah. Now I'm going to hit the Y key to view these before and after. That's a bit better. All right. A picture like this, I can only think that it should be black and white. And this whole right side's a bit bright here. Let's see what I can do about that. So that's a half a stop of exposure that I've removed. Now I'm down 2 stops. I'm going to increase the clarity over there. That doesn't actually sharpen it, but it does increase the mid-tone contrast just a little bit. I really don't want it sharp. I mean, I would have shot it with the smaller aperture if I wanted it sharp. Let's see. So these out of focus areas to me look just a little bit like they might be center dust, but I know they're not. I know there's a tower sticking out of the top of the water tower there. A little transmitter sticking out of the top of the water tower there. You know what? They still bother me though. I'm going to use the Q key to enter spot removal mode, and I'm using the bracket keys to make the spot removal spot bigger. And I'm going to click and let Lightroom pick a place to remove that from. There's one. This may actually be sensor dust here. So this one. I can't do that in this version of Lightroom. So in this case, I'm going to click, let Lightroom choose a spot to clone from. It's done a good job. I hit the Q key to exit that mode. And I'm wondering if I need to do anything about the disparity between the dark over here and the light here. I'll just grab the gradient tool again and draw a little gradient right there. See, I don't think that suffers at all from. Well, I'm going to hit the delete key, delete the whole gradient. I'll do the same thing, but using the selective adjustment tool. So I'm going to turn off auto mask. Again, we're taking about 1 stop of exposure down, but only now for the areas that I paint in. So I'm going to paint in the side over here of the mirror, and I'm going to bump the contrast just in that area. And maybe the clarity also. Again, that doesn't actually bump clarity. What it does is increases mid-tone contrast, which makes things look clearer. So that looks good. I'm going to hit the K key to exit that mode, and the K key again to re-enter it. In this case, I'm going to paint just a little bit of lightness in, and I hit the wrong button at the wrong time. 4 or 5 times. Alright. Back to the grid view. Click none on the filter bar here to unfilter those photos. And I'll click the 3 button here, the 3 button there, 3 button here, 3 button there to get back to those pictures. Click back on the image I was working on. Choose to filter by attribute and 3 stars. Re-enter the develop module, and back to where I was. I'm going to hit the K button to pull up the selective adjustment tool. Again, remember that I want to paint back in about 0.6 exposure here. I'll take the size down just slightly and just paint myself there, because the person really does make this a little more interesting. And I'll hit the K button to exit that mode. Y to view a quick before and after. And I think I like the results of that. You know, in reflection, the light on this tree back here is awfully nice, but I'm not sure that the tree is the point of it. If I really wanted to, I could take these power lines out, but those also don't bother me. It's probably not worth my time. Over the next image. Love it. I feel like this has to be in some kind of color. Got that warm 1974 preset that I've created myself. I'm going to drop the contrast a little bit though and bump the shadows and bump the clarity. Yeah, look at what that does to that steam coming out of the pot. It's cool. A little less contrast, a little brighter shadows. Y to view it before and after. Yeah, that's a nice change. I like that. And I actually like it so much that I may just sync those settings over to the next image. So you can see I opened the film strip at the bottom just by clicking on this arrow, which is upward facing now. Now it's downward facing. Select both of them. Hit the sync button. In the develop module, it'll sync settings. In the library module, that'll sync metadata. I'm just going to select all the settings and synchronize them over. And the preview should update in just a minute. There it is. So click on it to load that in the develop module. You know, that's cool. The only thing I wish is that this steam area, which is a little bit darker. So I'm going to hit the M key, drag our by now familiar gradient down. Yep, I like that. Now hit the Y key to view a quick before and after. It's a pretty nice improvement. I may bring the clarity up just a little more, because I like the texture on the side of this pot and everything. And the shadows up just a little bit more. Yep. And the blacks just a little bit. Cool. So that's those images. Happy with those. I'll post those to Google Plus in just a few minutes here. But I also wanted to select. Oh, unfiltered here. So I wanted to select this photo because I really like it. So I found this recipe book leaning against a window with some cobwebs on the outside. Really small depth of field again, 1.4, maybe too small, but I don't want the recipe taking center stage. I'm going to bump the clarity here and the shadows. And I feel like the color is important here again. Let's see. I feel like I want this to be a bit nostalgic. So I've selected a preset that adds a split tone to this. Split tone might be a bit much for my taste, so I'm backing the saturation off of that. Before and after preview, yeah, good. That's what I want. Back to the grid view, which is within the library using the G key, and back to our climbing pictures here. Let's develop these. So I'm going to use D. Oh, you notice in the grid view here, in the library module, I have attribute selected as a way to sort these pictures, filter them, and I've assigned a rating of 3 to all these that I want to take a look at for future use. Climbing pictures, I'm just going to look at together right now, all of them. See if there are any that I don't like as I'm looking through the whole set. This third picture here just loses merit. I'm going to hit the 2 key to assign 2 stars and take it out of this selection. 2 key again. See, I've got 1, 2, 3 pictures of this guy climbing. feel like they do communicate slightly different things, although this one down here is preferable because he's moving. So I'll take the first one out. Second, third, okay, good. Yeah, I'm in that picture. This one doesn't stand up to scrutiny. That's not that good. This one's all right. This one's a little bit better. Well, you know what? This one's from the bottom. This one's just the top of the ladder. This is still a better picture. See if I can recover something from this third. Two helicopter pictures. Let's see. This first one's gone. So we're down to just a few pictures. This doesn't have any meaningful color to it, so I'm going to drop the color and we'll use black and white. Drop the contrast that's been added though, and pump the clarity and the mid-tone contrast. It makes it look sharper. It's not actually sharper, but it does make it look that way. Bring up the shadows, and that's okay. I'm not sure if I like the ladder up here in the top right, but I will leave it for the moment. It's a cool image. Not sure that there's a lot that I do to that, although it does look like it benefits from a bit of a color boost there. A little more clarity, kind of mask some of the unsharpness. The M key, and I'll drop the exposure over here on the left side because I really want the firefighter to be the focus. I am going to try to drag this gradient so that it's subtle. You don't actually see the transition in the photo. It still directs your eye. That's good. I'm going to hit the M key to exit that mode and the M key to re-enter it. And you notice this pin's not selected, and that allows me to drop a second one. And that'll be right up here. Again, a long enough gradient that you don't actually see the effect. You just feel it, and that'll work for me. Good. Cool picture. Black and white, maybe? I like those greens behind him. That'll work. I'm going to bump the shadows just a little bit. It looks kind of like he's wearing a mask, but that's coming from this kind of crazy uplighting on him. It's not terribly flattering, but the guy's doing his job, and he does a good job of it. So I'm not going to take anything away from that picture, and I'm certainly not going to take the time to sort of retouch that line out. If this were like a commercial shoot or something, I might, but these really will just be enjoyed by somebody. So it's an awkward picture. I'm not crazy about sort of this like crotch shot of myself, but whatever. Let's see what it looks like in black and white. A little less contrast, a little more shadow. Or I'm gonna kind of brighten up the shadow areas here. Make sure there's no vignette on that. This is it's a complicated picture. There are a lot of things happening here. It might not even be a good one, but I think it could be interesting, so I'll leave it in. Yep, that's a car down there. On to the next one. Firefighter climbing. Yeah. I have a preset called Bitchin' Camaro here. It's kind of cool. Bump the shadows a little bit. Bump the clarity. Good. Now that I look at this, I don't know if it stands up to scrutiny. It's a cool picture when I was looking at it, cool when I was taking it. I like the backlight here, but it's not immediately apparent what that is. I just don't think it communicates anything strongly enough. Even here in the develop module, in Lightroom 5, if I hit the 2 key, it'll assign a star rating of 2 and drop it from the selection, so we'll do that. This one I wasn't sure about. I was going to try it in black and white. Try it with some more clarity, as much as I can get. Try it with some more contrast, and I just don't know if it's actually making anything interesting enough to warrant keeping. need to either light this guy just a little less or a little bit more. So after developing it and everything, I'm going to use a 2 key to drop it from, well, hang on. If I bump the highlights here. Nope, still not enough. 2 key to drop it from this selection. And honestly, this is a this is an interesting moment, but these pictures aren't really any good. So I'm going to use the G key to go back to the grid view. I'll take these two helicopter pictures, highlight them, hit the 2 key, drop them from this selection, and I'll go back to the first 3 images. I know, it's a toilet. This might gross you out. I don't really care. I think it's cool. Right. If I use this this preset called Bodhi Medium, forces you to focus on what the highlights and the shadows are. I kind of like that, but let's see. Concrete jungle. Bring the shadows up a little bit. Take the clarity even higher, because like this should be a bit grungy. It's fairly clean. I'll clean it up using the spot removal tool here. There we go. Thank you, Lightroom. I'm testing some presets, and as I roll over the presets on the left here, you can see in the navigator up top left that you can pre-visualize what those are going to look like. What is this? Super blue. I like this color boost preset that I've made, and again I'll kind of bring the shadows up just a little bit. Hit the M key to make a gradient selection here. Just kind of darken the sky down. The other thing that I'm going to do is add some blue to the sky. Yeah. Although that's a pretty harsh transition, I'll just kind of drag it a little farther down so that the transition seems and feels a little more normal. Hit the M key, and I'm going to hit the K key to open up selective adjustment mode. Bring the exposure up just a little, and paint it into this water tower. One that says Reedley. Add a little more than a half a stop of exposure, but not nearly that much. So 0.72, that works. And again, a little more clarity. I'm always seeking more clarity. And bring the shadows up just a little bit. I'm going to click on erase, so I can erase part of the selection around this, because it's just not subtle enough for me. Okay, that's much better. And the K key to exit that mode, I'll hit Y to view a before and after, and that's all right. It's not bad. It's an interesting view of the water towers. Another interesting view. Do the same thing with color boost, boost the shadows. Okay, and in this case, I'm going to turn on auto mask and let auto mask try to keep track of where this water tower begins and ends, so I don't have to be as careful about it. And that's good. I'm going to paint the top just a little more. You can see the mask automatically highlights. It's doing a really good job of separating the water tower from the space around it. So hit the K key to exit that mode. Hit the K key again to enter it. I want to brighten just the top of the water tower, but not as much. So like maybe 0.3 stops. And so as I paint over here, you see just a little more brightening. And I'll bump the clarity there too. See, there are 2 pins, one for each of the two selective adjustments that I've made. And, you know, to my eye that looks a little overdone, but if you were looking at it for the first time, you probably wouldn't know that. So that's all the images. I'll collect them, upload them to Google+, and thanks for sharing the journey with me.